are different from the or that are different from the district from the lives. Every principle non-distressed these are be enforceable by code, these are not be enforceable by any code. The principle laid down in this part are to inform the making of the part for the they shall be enforceable by the code, they shall not be enforceable by code. Principle laid down in this part are to influence the making of the law by the state. The principle laid down in this part are to influence the making of the law in the state. Which article of the Indian Constitution are not enforceable by any code? Which articles of the Indian Constitution say that the directive principle of the state policy are not enforceable by any code? Which article of the Indian Constitution? 37. Article 37 says that the directive principle of the state policy are not enforceable by any code. With hello, oh Lord, why this is funny? I can't understand. Mother came here after a long time. Mother came after a long time. Which article of the they are not enforceable by code. It shall be the duty of the state to apply this principle in making laws. That is the both 1 and 2. The principles are and the principles spell out the socio-economic democracy in the country. The principles spell out the good afternoon. Do you recognize me? I don't think so that I recognize you. What's your name, by the way? तेरी माँ का दमादू. Whatever man. ऐसा कौन लगता है? This principle spell out the socio-economic democracy in the country. The provision regarding the directive principle of the city control is not correct. It is impose a legal duty on the state. It is the duty of the state to apply this principle in the making laws. They are fundamental in governance of the country. They impose a legal duty on the state. They are merely instruction to legislature and executive. They are merely pay attention to studies. Okay, you too. Okay. But regarding the right not correct. It is they impose a legal duty on the state. They are fundamental in governance of the country. It is the duty of the state to apply this principle in making laws. They are merely instructions to do executive and the legislature. Study step selection commission. Okay, which is I'm preparing for the BPSC exam. regarding the directive principle of the state, provision may not use the concept of the welfare of the state. The concept of the welfare of the state is included in the Constitution of India in the DPSP, which part of the Constitution welfare the ideal of the welfare state, that is the directive principle of the state policy. Which part of the Constitution of India describes the model of the welfare state, that is the directive principle. The idea of the India as a welfare state found in the DPSP and the preamble and the DPSP. The idea of India as a welfare state is found in. You don't get good luck, but focus, dear. Okay, yes. The idea of the India as a welfare state is found in the preamble and the fundamental state policy. The idea of the India as the welfare state is found in the idea of India as the welfare state as the idea of the India as the welfare state is found in the preamble of the Constitution and the directive principle of the state policy. The directive principle of the state policy may be classified in which of the following part for the sake of the convenient study. All of the above. The directive principle of the state policy of the Constitution of India is taken from the Constitution of which country? That is the Ireland. And the Indian Constitution followed the directive principle of the state from the Constitution of which of the following? That is the Ireland. In the Indian Constitution, the idea of the directive principle of the state was been taken from the Ireland. Which of the following directive principles do not follow Gandhian principle? Organized civil code wala. Civil code and promise right to work 2 and 4. Directive principle of the state policies are non-justiciable. According to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental of the which of the following are fundamental which of the following are fundamental to the governance of the country? According to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental to the governance of the country? That is the directive principle of the state, which are fundamental to the governance of the country. Fundamental. This is too ajeeb simple. According to the Constitution of India, which of the following are fundamental to the governance of the country? That is the PPSP is fundamental. Are not enforceable in court of the law, but are fundamental in the governance of the country. These principles are applied in the legislature. Under the Indian Constitution, concentration of the wealth violates the DPSP. Equal pay for equal work has been ensured in the Indian Constitution as one of the directive principles of the state policy. Which of the following is included in the directive principle of the state policy? It is protection, equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Which of the following is not a fundamental right? Not a fundamental right against exploitation, equal pay for equal work. Panchayati Raj system in India is laid down under the DPSP. Which one of the following article direct the state government to organize the panchayat? Which of the following article directs the state government to organize the panchayat? Which one of the following article directs the state government to organize the panchayat? Which one of the following article directs the state government to organize the panchayat? That is article 40. Article 33 बोलता है कि under right to constitutional remedy, article fundamental right, power of parliament to modify the according to under right to constitutional remedy, fundamental right, power of the parliament to modify the right confirmed by this right in their application of the forces, etc. Article 48 to prohibit the slaughter of the cows, slaves, calves and other males and draught cattle and to improve their breeds. Article 5 separation of the judiciary from the executive. Which one of the following articles direct state government to organize village panchayat? That is the article 40. Which one of the following article direct state government to organize village panchayat? Which one of the following article direct state government to organize village? Article 40. Under the Constitution of India, organization of the village panchayat is the DPSP. Formation of the village panchayat, article 40. Universal Civil Code article and universal Civil Code. How do you got? How do you got mad yellow? Mode yellow? Which mode? Organization of the village panchayat, that is article 40. Universal Civil Code article 44. Agriculture and animal husbandry article 48. Agriculture and the animal husbandry article 48. Agriculture and the animal husbandry, that is article 48. Separation of judiciary from the executive article 50, and promotion of international peace article 51. With articles of the constitution, subject matter article 40, that is the organization of the article 40, that is the organization village panchayat article 41. Organization of agriculture article 40, that is the organization of the village panchayat article 41. Article 40, that is the organization of the village panchayats. Article 40, that is the organization. Article 40, that is the organization of the village panchayat हो गया. Article 41, right to work, education and public assistance in certain cases. Article 44, universal civil code for all citizens. Article 48, organization of the agriculture and animal husbandry overall. Article 40, organization of the village panchayat. Article 41, right to work, education and public assistance in certain cases. Article 44, universal civil code for all citizens. Article 48, that is organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. Article 48, organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. She's killing me last night. Bro, how did you got me out alone? She's killing me. What are you typing, Delilu? Identify the correct pair mentioning the directive principle of the state policy in the Constitution of India. Equal justice and free equal aid, article 42. ठीक है. Equal justice and free equal aid, that is article 39 का A. That is organization of the agriculture and animal husbandry, article 48. Or organization of the village panchayat, article 40. And article 39D, that is the equal pay for equal work for both men and women, article 39 का D. Equal justice and free equal justice and free equal aid, that is article 39A. Equal justice and free equal aid and free legal aid, article 39A. That is principle of the state policy, article 30. Equal justice and free legal aid, article 39A. Organization of the agriculture and animal husbandry, article 48. Organization of the village panchayat, article 40. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women, article 39D. Directive principle which list are equal justice for equal aid, that is article 39A. Protection of the environment, that is article 4. Right to vote, that is article right to vote, that is article 41. Right to vote, that is article 41. Protection of the monument, protection of the monument क्या हो जाएगा, article 49. Protection of the monument, that is article 49. ठीक है. बराबर. फिर से equal justice and free equal aid, that is article 39A. Protection of the environment, that is article 48A. Right to work, that is article 41. And protection of the monument, article 49. Which one of the following is not correctly matched? The separation of the judiciary from the executive 50. Promotion of educational and economic caste and economic interest in the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, article 46. The organization of the village panchayat enable them to function as the unit of self-government, that is article 40. The organization of the village panchayat enable them to function as the units of self-government, article 40. following not correct and the separation of judiciary from the executive. Article 50. The promotion of the educational and economic interests of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Article the promotion of the educational and the economic interests of the scheduled castes. Article 46. The organization of village panchayat and them to function as the unit of the self-government. That is Article 40. और for cooperative society, that is Article 43B. ठीक है. मनरेगा is providing employment to at least one member of the eligible household for a minimum period of 100 days in a year. Right to employment is limited in Part 3 of the Constitution. Part 3 नहीं, Part 4. I will definitely stream, but जब स्ट्रीम करूँगी तो I want to be studying there, but I will discuss my anything with you all, जिसके वजह से maybe I will help you or you all will give me some more motivation, कुछ भी मतलब ऐसा, but I want to stop streaming for sure. I can guarantee you. Manrega mission scheme has been launched as a part of the implementation of which one of the following articles of the Indian Constitution, that is Article 43. Article 43. Article 43. मनरेगा जो था कि स्कीम हैज बीन लॉन्च्ड पार्ट 4 में था. ठीक है. मनरेगा scheme has been launched as a part of the implementing which one of the following articles of the Article 43. Which of the following articles was inserted by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment to provide for participation of the worker in the management, that is Article 43A. Which of the following articles was inserted by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment to provide for participation of the worker in the management, Article 43A. Which of the following articles was inserted by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment to provide for participation of the worker in the management, Article 43A. Finally, you are back. Lunch कर लिया? Not yet. I want to do. खा लिए थे, भूख नहीं है. Which of the following article was inserted by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment to provide for the participation of the workers in the management, that is Article 43A. ठीक है क्या? 43A में है कि to provide for the participation of workers in the management. Which articles of the Indian Constitution has the provision of participation of the worker in management of the industries? Article 43A. Which article of the Constitution has the provision of the participation of the worker in the management of the industry? Article 43A. Which article of the Constitution of India has the provision of participation of the workers? Which article of the Constitution of India has the provision of the participation of the workers in the management of the industry? Article 43A. Which of the following articles of the Constitution of the India talks about the Universal Civil Code? That is 44. In India, separation of judicial authority is enjoyed by the directive principle of the state policy. Which of the following articles of the directive principle of the state policy deals with the promotion of the international peace and security? 51A. ठीक है. 51 ये हो गया. 41 है कि राइट टू वर्क, राइट टू एजुकेशन एंड पब्लिक असिस्टेंस. 43 that is participation of worker in the management of the industry, and 48 that is the protection and the improvement of the environment and safeguarding of the forest and the wildlife. Protection and the improvement of the environment, protection and the improvement of the environment and the safeguarding of the forest and the wildlife. In the Constitution of India, promotion of the international peace and security is included in the development of the state policy. Which part of the Constitution refers to the responsibility of the state toward international peace and security? Which part of the Constitution refers to the responsibility of the state toward international peace and security? That is Article 40. Article 51 that is BPSC. Which article of the Indian Constitution is related to the Indian foreign policy? Article 51. Foreign policy correlated with the article. Okay, thank you. Yeah, article that is Article 51, that is the Indian Constitution is related with the Indian foreign policy. Which of the following was not added to the directive principle by the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution? Which of the following was not added to the directive principle by the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution? That is the Universal Civil Code. Universal Civil Code. Which of the following was not added by the directive principle by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment? That is the Universal Civil Code. Protection of children and youth from the exploitation, equal justice and free equal aid, equal justice and free equal aid and participation of working in the management of the industry. ये सबको ऐड किया जैसे 39F में जो था that is the protection of the children and youth from the exploitation. Article 39A that is equal justice and free legal aid. And 43A participation of the worker in the management of the industry. Participation of the industry. The following was not added by the directive principle by the 47. That is the Universal Civil Code. Protection of the children and youth from exploitation. Article 39F. Article 39A equal justice and free legal aid. Equal justice and free legal aid. Article 43A participation of worker in the management of the industries. Which principle among the following was added to the directive principle of the state policy by the 42nd Amendment of, that is the participation of worker in the management of the industries? 39A. 43A participation of worker in the management of the industry. 43A. 48 protection and the improvement of the environment and safeguarding of the protest forest and the wildlife. The Constitution grant right against exploitation to the sea, that is the children, women and tribals. Which of the following is not a directive principle of the state policy? That is the free education to children up to the age of 14. ये क्या किसमें है? Article 45 in the Constitution. Provision of the consumption of the intoxicant drink and the cause protection are described under Article 47 and 48. Provision of under Article 48A, protection and the improvement of the environment is provided. हाँ कहाँ बज रहा है? नहीं फोन तो in the Constitution, provision of the consumption of the intoxicating drinks and the co-protection are described in 47 and 48 respectively. Under Article 48A, protection and improvement of the environment is provided. Under Article 48A, protection and the improvement of the environment is provided. Provision for free and compulsory education for all children until they complete the age of 14 years was mentioned under Article 45 of the Directive, but in the 2002 the provision became the fundamental right under Article 21A. Which one of the following is not directive free? Huh? ये बज रहा है Which of the following are included in the directive principle of the state policy? That is the provision of the trafficking in human beings and forced labor. ये गलत है. Provision of the consumption except for the medicinal purposes of intoxicating drink and of the other drugs which are injurious to health. Consider the following provision under the directive principle of the state policy are enshrined in the Constitution of India. Securing uniform civil code for citizens of India. Organizing village panchayat, promoting cottage industry in rural areas, securing for all the workers reasonable wages and the cultural opportunities. B. 2 and 3 to organizing village panchayats and promoting cottage industry in the rural areas. Organizing village panchayats and promoting cottage industry in the rural areas. Gandhian principle or Article 40, 47 and 48 are based on the Gandhian principles. Organize 40 organization of the village panchayat. Article 47 to raise the level of the nutrition and the standard of living and to improve the public health. Article 48 prevention of the cow slaughter, organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. In which of the following the provision for the protection and the improvement of the environment and safeguarding of the forest and wildlife are found in the Constitution of India, that is both A and B. Only in the dietary principle of the and only in the fundamental right. Which of the following in which of the following the provision for the protection and the in which of the following the provision for the protection and improvement of the environment and safeguard board duties and the DPSP 48 that is the provision of safeguarding has a provision for the protection and improvement of the environment and the safeguarding of the forest and the wildlife. According to Article 51, it is the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment. Which of the following provision is a part of both dietary principle of the state policy and the fundamental duties? That is the protection of the environment. Which of the following is a dietary principle? That is, the states are invited to protect and empower the environment. To empower. I am preparing for the SSC. Okay, I am UPSC now. So. MPSC should you focus only on PT or mains also. I will suggest कि तुम अपना 70% PT में दो और फिर मेंस में 30% दो. लाइक 70-30 पढ़ो. जैसे कि अगर 7-10 घंटे पढ़ रहे हो तो उसमें 7 घंटा या 6 घंटा PT के लिए पढ़ो और 4 घंटा मेंस के लिए पढ़ो. Which of the following is the dietary principle of the state policy? That the states are endeavor to protect and improve the environment. The states are endeavor to protect and improve the environment. The states are endeavor to protect and improve the environment. The states are endeavor to protect and improve the environment. The Constitution is silent dietary principle of the state's policy about adult education. Provision for adult education is not mentioned in the dietary principle of the state policy, that is Part 4. Living wages for workers is mentioned in Article 43. Living wages for the work. Living wages for workers is mentioned in Article 43. Living wages for workers is mentioned in Article 43. Living wages for worker is mentioned in Article 43. Living wages for worker is mentioned in Article 43. Living wages for worker is mentioned in Article 43. Free legal aid to the poor is mentioned in Article 39. Overall, the provision for adult education is not mentioned in the dietary principle. Living wages for worker is mentioned in living wages for worker. Living wages for worker 43. 39 that is the free legal aid to the child, free legal aid to the poor is mentioned in Article 39, and provision for early childhood care and education to children below the age of 6 is mentioned in Article 45 of the. Which of the following dietary principles of the state was added to the Constitution at a later date? That is the free legal aid. Free legal aid was in which year it was inserted in the Constitution of India that the states are secure free legal aid to any constitution by reason. That is 1976. With reference to the National Legal NALSA, that is Service Authority, its objective is free and competent legal services to the legal section of the society on the basis of the equal opportunity. It issues guidelines to the state legal services authority to implement the legal programs and schemes throughout the country. Article with reference to the National Legal Security Authority, Services Authority, National Legal Services Authority with reference to the National Legal Services Authority consider the following statement. Its objective is to ensure free and competent legal services to the bigger section of the society on the basis of the equal opportunity. It issues guidelines to the state legal services authority to implement the legal program and scheme throughout the country. It issues guidelines to the state it issues guidelines to the state legal services authority to implement the legal program and scheme throughout the country. In India, the legal services authority will provide free legal aid to which of the following types of citizens: person with an annual income, person of the other, all that is one and two only. Person with an annual income of less than 1 lakh or transient with an annual income of less than 2 lakh. Which of the following is among the directive principle of the state by part 4, that is B, 1 and 2. Equal pay for equal work and universal civil code. Which of the following are listed among the directive principles in the part 4 of the Constitution of the India, that is equal pay for equal work or universal civil code? Equal pay for equal work or universal civil code? Equal pay for equal work and universal civil code. Which of the following are listed among the directive principles in part 4 of the Indian Constitution? Which of the following are listed among the directive principles in part 4 of the Constitution of India, that is equal pay for equal work and universal civil code? Which of the following are listed among the directive principles in the part 4 of the Constitution of India, that is equal pay for equal and universal civil code? With reference to the Constitution of India, consider the following statement: fundamental rights, duties, and which of the following provisions of the Constitution fulfill the National Social Assistance Program? National Social Assistance Program launched by the Government of India. Which of the following provision by the Constitution of India fulfill the which of the following Constitution of India consider the following, that is the provision of the Constitution of India fulfill the National Social Assistance Program launched by the Government of India? With reference to the Constitution of India fulfilled the National Social Assistance Program. With reference to the Constitution of India, consider the following statement: it is the above provision of the Constitution of India fulfill the National Social Assistance Program. The provision of the Constitution of India fulfill the National Social Assistance Program launched by the Government of India. National Social Assistance Program was launched on 15 August 1995 by the government to fulfill the provision of the directive principle of the state policy regarding the right to work, to education, and to public assistance in certain cases. National Old Age Pension Scheme, National Family Benefit Scheme, and National Maternity Benefit Scheme benefited in the National Social Assistance Program from the beginning, but on the 1st April 2001, MBS was launched. Which of the following is not included in the directive principle of the state policy? That is the right to information. Which of the following is the directive principle of the state policy? That is the universal civil code. And identify the item included in the directive principle of the state policy. Provision of the consumption of the liquor, provision of the employment of children to the legal enforcement, provision of 1 and 2. Only one. Consumption of liquor under the article करंट सोर्सेस यूपी पीसीएस के लिए बहुत सारा चैनल्स है. एक तो और है जो आई डोंट रिमेम्बर द चैनल नेम, लेकिन वो बहुत फेमस है सर. रोज़ मतलब करंट अफेयर्स देते हैं, प्लस मंथली भी शायद देते हैं. अरे यार उनका नाम बताते हैं क्या, एक मिनट मिस. this channel. You can follow him. स्टडी फॉर सिविल सर्विसेज को करवाते हैं UPPCS के लिए मोस्टली. इवन उनका बैचेस भी चलता है. अच्छे टीचर हैं, बहुत ही अच्छे हैं. Article 47 of the Directive Principle of the State Policy underscores that it is the duty of the state to raise the level of the nutrition and the standard of living and to improve the public health. The states are obligated to bring about prohibition of the consumption except for the medication purpose of the intoxicating drinks and of the drugs dangerous to health, whereas prohibition of the employment of children in factories or mines, prohibition of the behavior of forced labor and abolition of the untouchability and mentioned in Article 24. Fundamental right. Article 24, that is the intoxicating. 24 intoxicating. Article 24, the right and the state are to bring about the provision of the consumption except for the medicinal purposes of the intoxicating drink and of the drugs which are injurious to health, whereas provision of the employment of children in factories or mines. 24. Provision of the behavior of forced labor. Provision of the behavior of forced labor. Article 23. Prohibition of the employment of the children in factories or mines. Prohibition of the employment of children in factories or mines. Prohibition of the employment of children in factories or mines. Article prohibition of the employment of the children in factories or mines. Article 24. Prohibition of the behavior of forced labor. Article 23. 17. Abolition of disability. The section of the societies are enlisted under section 12 of the legal service. A member of the entitled to free legal, a member of the SC and SC, a victim of trafficking in human beings, a beggar as referred to in Article 23 of the Commissions, a woman or a child, a person with disability as defined. A person with disability as defined under the Person with Disability Act 1995, a person in receipt of annual income less than the amount mentioned in the following schedule or any other higher amount as may be described by the state government, an industrial workman, an industrial workman. The income ceiling limit prescribed of the Act for availing free legal services in different states has been stated below. That is the Andhra Pradesh 3 lakh, Arunachal Pradesh 1 lakh, 1 lakh, Andhra Pradesh 3 lakh, Karnataka 1 lakh, Madhya Pradesh 1 lakh, that is Delhi general 1 lakh, senior citizen 2 lakh और transgender 2 lakh. मुझे एक पल की गुर्बत हो. The aim of the Citizen Charter is not. The aim of the Citizen Charter is not quality and time frame service delivery, citizen-friendly governance, accountable government to create effective hearing system of the public demand. The concept of right to service originated in the Great Britain. The rights to services in the Great Britain. The concept of right to services originated in the Great Britain. The aim of the Citizen's Charter is not to create effective hearing system of the public demand. The aim of the Citizen's Charter is not to create effective hearing system of the public demand. It is quality and time frame service delivery, citizen-friendly governance and accountable government. And in the following statement करूँगी with respect to the right to service act. Right to service act में सबसे पहले कौन आया? This is based on the official gazette publication date of this act in the respective state. That is the सबसे पहले पंजाब सर्विस एक्ट, राइट टू सर्विस एक्ट, पंजाब असम गुजरात महाराष्ट्र, पंजाब असम गुजरात महाराष्ट्र, पंजाब असम गुजरात महाराष्ट्र, पंजाब असम गुजरात महाराष्ट्र. That is the Punjab, Assam, Gujarat. Punjab. Punjab, Assam, Gujarat, Rajasthan. Punjab, Assam, Gujarat, Maharashtra. 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 ठीक है. And in the following state chronologically with respect to the enactment of the Right to Service Act, that is the Punjab, Assam, Gujarat, Maharashtra. Punjab, Assam, Gujarat, Maharashtra. Which of the following is correct? That is the right are claims of the state against the citizens. Right are privileges. Right are claims of the citizen against the state. In the context of the India, which of the following is the correct relationship between the right and the duties? Right are correlative with the duties. Right are correlative with the duties. In the context of India, which of the one of the following is the correct relationship between the rights and the duties? That is the right are correlative with the duties. In the context of India, right are when feeling are blinded. Days without duties are like men without shadows. Days without duties are like men without shadows. Rights without duties are like men without shadows. Rights without duties are like men without shadows. Rights without duties are like men without shadows. The days without duties are like men without shadows. Right without duties are like rights without duties. Rights without Ernest Becker said that like men without children government by the Indian Constitution, Indian United Nations Charter, or the judgment of the Court on December 10, 1996. Bonded labor was abolished in India by an act of the Parliament enacted in the year 1976. Enacted in the year 1976, bonded labor was abolished by an act enacted in the year 1976. That is the Bonded Labor System Abolition Bill 1976. In India, if a religion or sect community is given the status of a national minority, what special advantage it is entitled? It is mentioned in the president of India nominates a representative of the community to the Lok Sabha. It can derive benefit from the Prime Minister 5. It can derive benefit from the Prime Minister 5-point program. ठीक है. British staying in India cannot claim right to freedom of trade and profession. Which of the following Article 91 का जी. Which of the following right is not enjoyed by British citizen residing in India? Right to trade and profession. A British citizen staying in India cannot claim right to freedom of trade and profession. Which of the following right is confirmed by the Constitution of India and is also relevant to the non-citizen? Freedom of the right to constitutional remedies. The right to constitutional remedies is available to both citizens of the India and non-citizens foreign, but right to freedom of speech, to freely travel to other country and to acquire is given only to the citizen of India. Which of the following rights are not available to all persons in India? That is the equality before the law, right against discrimination, freedom to move freely throughout the country, right to contest election. And the right to equality before the law is available to every citizen, but the right against discrimination, the right to move freely throughout the territory of India, and the right to contest election are available only to the citizen. Which of the following rights is available to the person under the Indian Constitution? That is the right to equal protection of the law. Right to equal protection of the law. Okay. Which of the following right is available to all persons under the Indian Constitution? Right to equal protection of law. Equality, that is the right to freedom of expression. Fundamental right provided by which of the following group of articles are granted only to the citizen of India? That is the Article 15, 16, 19 and 20, 30. 15, 16, 19 and 30. 15, 16, 19 and 30. 15, 16, 19 and 30. Fundamental right provided by which of the following groups of articles are granted only to the citizen of India? Fundamental right provided by which of the following groups of the article are mentioned only to the citizen of India? That is the Article 15, 16, 19 and 20. 15, 16, 19 and 20. Fundamental right provided by which of the following groups of the articles are granted only to the citizen of India? That is 15, 16, 19 and 20. 15, 16, 19 and 20. Fundamental right provided by which of the following groups of the articles are granted only to the citizen of India? 15, 16, 19 and 20. To the fundamental right available to Indians but not to the aliens. Freedom of the speech and expression, equality before law, right to minority. 1, 3, 1 and 3. No one can be compelled to sing the national anthem since it will be violation to the right of freedom of speech expression. It will be violation of the right to freedom of the conscience and practice of the propagation of the religion. There is no legal provision obligating anyone to sing the The 44th Constitution Amendment Act of India removed the following right from the category of the fundamental right. It is property. The property originated from the 44th. Which of the following is not a fundamental right? That is the right to property. Which of the following is not a fundamental right to property? Which of the following is not among the fundamental rights provided by the Constitution of India? Right to protest. And not among the fundamental rights provided by the Constitution. Right to protest. Indian Constitution does not grant which of the following right to equal shelter. Which of the following is not a fundamental right granted by the Indian Constitution to the citizens? Right to information. Right to information granted by the nation to the citizen. Right to information. Which of the following is not a fundamental right granted by the Indian Constitution to the citizen? According to the decision of the Supreme Court, the right to information lies in the right to freedom of speech and expression under Article 91 1A of the Constitution. With the following statement and choose the correct option. Right to property was deleted from the list of the fundamental by the 45th Constitution of 1970. Right to property was made a legal right under the Article 300A and Part 3 of the Constitution. At present, right to property under the Constitution is a legal right. Article 310 is related to the legal right. Right to property is a legal right but not a fundamental right. Article 300 was inserted by the 44th Constitution during the period of the Congress government. At present, the right to property has been which of the following forms? That is the legal right. By which of the following right to property has been? By which of the following amendment to Act of the Constitution deleted the right to property from the list of the fundamental rights? That is 44. By which amendment the right to property was abolished? Article 44. Identify the correct chronological sequence of the following: Sankari Prasad versus Union of India, Sajan Singh versus the State of India, and Goloknath versus State of Punjab. That is 1960. 333. Identify the correct chronological sequence of the following. That is the 3 or 4. That is the Goloknath case, गोरखनाथ केस वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, फिर केशव नंदा भारती केस वर्सेज द स्टेट ऑफ केरला, उससे पहले है साजन सिंह वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, साजन सिंह वर्सेज द स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान, साजन सिंह वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान एंड द शंकरी प्रसाद वर्सेज यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, शंकरी प्रसाद एंड द स्टेट ऑफ इंडिया. The Supreme Court of India has propounded the provision of basic structure of the Constitution by the President of Bharati. The following is outline the basic structure of the Bharati case. Select the correct chronological order of the judgment dealing with the phenomenon of Gorakhnath versus Punjab. A, B, Nindava Mills case, A, B, C, A, B, C और एक एक गोपाल versus State of Madras. A, B, C or D? D, A, B, C or D? Select the correct chronological order of the judgment dealing with the fundamental right. What is the position of the right to property in India? That is the legal right available to citizens only. Legal right available to any person. And the Constitution was originated after the right to property was enshrined as a fundamental right. While the 44 Amendment 1971, the right to property was removed as a fundamental right, and a new provision was added to the legal right. Right to property belongs to which category among the following? That is the legal right. To property is the legal right and the statutory and the legal right. Right to property is the statutory and the legal right. सबसे पहले क्या है, गोलकनाथ वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, ठीक है, 1950 में हुआ था. नहीं, सबसे पहले एक गोपालन केस वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ मद्रास, दैट इज 50 में हुआ था. फिर 1960 में गोलकनाथ के संबंध 1970 मिलकर 1980. एक गोपालन वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ मद्रास 1950, गोलकनाथ वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब 1967. The Supreme Court firstly in the year 1950 in the case of the Sankari Prasad versus Union of India, and after that in the year 1965 the Sankari Prasad versus Union of India 1951, the Sankari Prasad versus Union of India 1951, the Sankari Prasad versus Union of India, that is 1951. The Supreme Court firstly in the year 1951 in the case of the Sankari Prasad versus Union of India, and after that in the year 1965 1951 हुआ. The Supreme Court जो क्या है 1951. That is the identify the correct chronological sequence of the following. That is सबसे पहले शंकरी प्रसाद वर्सेज यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, that is the 1951 में आया था. फिर टू साजन सिंह वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान, that is the 1965 में आया था. फिर गोलकनाथ वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब, that is the 1967 में. और फिर केशव नंदा भारती वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ द केरला, that is 1973. The Supreme Court firstly in the year 1951 in the case of the Sankari Prasad versus Union of India, and after that in the year Sankari Prasad versus the Union of India, that is identify the correct chronological sequence of the following. That is Sankari Prasad versus the Union of India, that is the 1951. Identify the correct chronological sequence of the following. That is the Sankari Prasad versus the Union of India. Identify the correct chronological sequence of the following. That is the Sankari Prasad versus the Union of India. That is Sankari Prasad. Identify the correct chronological sequence of the following. That is the Sankari Prasad versus the Union of India. Sankari Prasad versus the Union of India, that is the 1951. Sajan Singh versus State of Rajasthan. Sajan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, that is 1965. In that case, Sajan versus State of the Punjab. State of Rajasthan held that the Parliament can amend the fundamental right given under the Constitution. Later in the year 1967, in the case of the Gorakhnath versus State of Punjab, the Supreme Court held opposite to a verdict in the Sankari Prasad and the Sajan Singh case, decided that the Parliament cannot amend the fundamental right. In the case of another article, the Parliament has an excessive power of amendment in the Constitution, but the power is not unlimited. It can amend the fundamental right, but it cannot change or amend the basic structure of the Constitution. Fundamental duties. Parliament can amend fundamental rights. Parliament can amend fundamental right. B का doctrine of basic structure. Doctrine of basic structure, that is the case of Nanda Bharati case. Prohibition of the trafficking in the human beings. Article 23. Prohibition of fundamental duties. Prohibition. Parliament can amend fundamental right. Can amend fundamental duties. The match order of the list 1 and 2 are as fundamental duties, that is the 42nd Constitutional Amendment regulation. Parliament can amend fundamental right, that is the C का 1. The match order 1 list doctrine of the basic structure is a minimum case provision of trafficking in the human beings. Article 23 of the Constitution. Parliament can amend fundamental right, that is the case of the fundamental duty that the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Part 3 of the fundamental right of the Constitution based on the Bill of Rights. Right to die is a fundamental right. Indian Constitution in the complete federal constitution. BCD. By which of the following case Parliament in philosophical and constitution, the fundamental right of the Indian Constitution are similar to the Bill of Rights. Significantly, right to die is not a fundamental right under Article 25 of the Constitution. Notably, that Indian Constitution is not a complete federal constitution, but a quasi-federal one. According to the law established by the Address Code of India, fundamental right can be amended in the philosophical and the conceptual in the philosophical and the conceptual sense. In the philosophical and the conceptual sense, the that is in philosophical and the conceptual sense, the fundamental right of the Indian Constitution are similar to the Bill of the Right, significant right to right, not a fundamental right under Article 25 of the Constitution. Notably, the Indian Constitution is not a complete federal constitution but a quasi-federal one. According to the law established by the Apex Court of India, the part can be amended but not removed because of it comes another vision. A part can be amended but not removed. और यू आई एम गुड आप बताओ कैसे हो which of the following case did the Supreme Court of India declare the prevalence of the fundamental right over directive principle of the state policy in the case of the conflict between the two? That is the state of the Madras versus the Champakan Dorai Rajan case. Champakan versus Dorai Rajan case. In by which of the following case Parliament got the right to amend fundamental right? That is the case of Nanda Bharati case. और ये है कि डिक्लेयर द प्रेवलेंस ऑफ फंडामेंटल ओवर डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट प्लस इन द केस ऑफ द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चंपाकन, इट इज 1951 द स्टेट में पर्सन चंपाकन दोराई राजा के which of the following not correctly right? Protection against arrest and detention 23 22, abolition of the untouchability 17, freedom of the religion 25, protection of the interests of the minority 29, abolition of the titles article 26, abolition of the titles articles 18. The mass order of both the following are as follows. The mass order of both the titles is as follows. Abolition of the titles, that is Article 18. Abolition of the titles, Article 18. Match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct answer from the given below. Abolition of the titles, that is Article 18. सबसे पहले क्या abolition of the titles? सबसे पहले क्या है abolition of the titles? Abolition of the titles, Article 18. Freedom to manage religious row by row. What do you mean by row by row? Which of the following not correctly fundamental right? Abolition of the titles. Abolition of the untouchability, Article 17, protection against identity 22, freedom of religion, Article 25, protection of the minorities protection of the interests of the minorities, Article 29, abolition of the titles, Article 18, freedom of manage of the religious affairs, freedom to manage the religious affairs, Article 26, protection of the language in the minority, Article 29. Protection of the language of the minority, Article 29. Right to education, 21A. Article 16 का 2, no person can be discriminated against in the matter of the public appointment on the ground of race, religion or caste. No person can be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state or receiving state aid on the ground of the religion, race, caste, language and any of them. Article 30. All the minorities, whether based on the religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. Article 31A. No person shall be deprived of his property save by the authority of the law. Correct. Right. The culture and the education are right. That is 29 in 30 का right to constitution remedy 32 right against exploitation 23 and 24 right to equality that is the 14 and 18. Article 16 clause 2 no person can be discriminated against the matter of the public appointment in the on the ground of the race, region and caste. Race, religion and caste. Article 29 2 no person shall be denied admission into any educational institution maintained by the state or receiving state aid on the ground of the religion, race, caste and language and any of them. 30 all minorities whether based on the religion or language shall have the right to establish and administer education institution of their choice. No person shall be deprived of his property save by the authority of the law. Under the no person shall be deprived of his property save by the authority of law. All minorities, whether based on the religion or the language, shall have the right to establish an administration education institution of their choice. No person shall be deprived of his property save by the authority of law. 31.1. Which is the following not correct demands? Habeas corpus to have the body mandamus we command provision cover under by what word adultery. Which one of the following constitution is also known as post-mortem? That is the statutory known as the post-mortem. Statutory known as the post-mortem in which petition judiciary order executive to perform their duty, that is the mandamus. When the Supreme Court issue a writ to a person or an institution to perform its duty is known as the mandamus. ठीक है. और पोस्टमार्टम मतलब statutory to be certified. Right to freedom that is 1922, right to freedom of religion 23 and 24 नहीं. Right देखो right to equality 14 से 18, right to freedom 19 से 22, right against exploitation 23 and 24, right to freedom of religion article 25 से 28 और culture and education right 29 से 30. Habeas corpus that is the to have the body, let us have the body. Mandamus we command, prohibition that is writ to subordinate court, statutory to be more fully informed, court by what authority. Prohibition writ to subordinate court, statutory to be more fully conformed. The writ which may be filed for the protection of the right to personal freedom, that is the personal freedom, that is the habeas corpus. Which of the following writ can be issued by a high court to secure the liberty of the individual? To secure the liberty of the individual. When do you have given the NEET exam? I have not given NEET exam. Which of the following writs can be issued by a high court to secure the liberty of an individual? That is the habeas corpus. Which one of the following writ is regarded as the greatest safeguard for the liberty of person? Habeas corpus. And which of the following articles of the Constitution of India the Supreme Court is empowered to issue different writs of the enforcement of the fundamental right to the citizen? Article 32. Consider the following statement concerning that is the power of the Supreme Court to issue certain writs to stop violation of the fundamental right. The Supreme Court has power to issue writs like the habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, curando, and statutory which is prepared for the enforcement of civil right, that is the fundamental right. Parliament may by law empower any other court to exercise jurisdiction in the power given to the Supreme Court. Which of the following statement can be enforced under the Article 32 of the Union? Which of the following right can be enforced under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution? That is the fundamental right. Which of the following article is the heart and the soul of the Constitution? Article 32. Which of the following are described? So the following right are described by the as the heart and soul. That is the right to constitutional remedies. Dr. Ambedkar had described Article 32 of the Constitution as the very soul of it to provide remedy against the violation of the fundamental right. The Constitution of the India recognizes religion and the linguistic minorities. Which of the following is given the power to enforce the fundamental right by the Constitution? The Supreme Court and the High Court are given the power to enforce the fundamental right by the Constitution. The guardian of the fundamental right is the judiciary. Under the Indian Constitution, who is the guardian of fundamental right? That is the judiciary, Supreme Court. Under the Indian Constitution, who among the following is considered to be the guardian of fundamental right? Judiciary. Which one of the following is regarded as the protector of the fundamental right of the citizen and the guardian of the Constitution of the India? That is the Supreme Court. Which one of the following is not correct? K. Munshi was one of the members of the drafting committee of the Constitution of India was adopted by the Constitutional Assembly. The Panchayati Raj was recommended by the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee Report 1957 और फिर the President of India is the guardian of fundamental right under the Commission. Which of the following is not correctly matched? Article 32, provision of the traffic in human and President 24, provision in employment of the children in factories. Article 26, freedom of men to manage religious affairs, and 29, freedom of the protection of the interest of the minorities, and 30 क्या है? Freedom to establish and administer educational institution by the minorities. Which one of the following is not correctly matched? Prohibition of the human trafficking in human beings. Article 23, protection of the interest of the minority. 29, right of Constitution. 32, right to minorities to establish and administer educational constitution. That is Article 30. Which article of the Constitution protects the right of the minority to establish and administer educational institution of their choice? Article 30. 29 बोलता है कि right of the interest in the minority, right protection of the interest of the minority community. 26, freedom to manage religious affairs, and 19, that is right to freedom. And which of the following articles of the Indian Constitution it has been provided that all minorities shall have the right to establish and administer education institutions of their choice? 30. Article 30 of the Constitution does not define the term minorities. The Constitution only recognizes linguistic and minority. What are the restrictions to the freedom to manage religious affairs in the Article 26 of the Constitution? What are the restrictions in the freedom public order, morality or health? Public property, morality or health? Public property, morality or health? Public property, morality or health? What are the restrictions in the freedom to manage religious affairs? Article 26, that is every religious denomination or any of its sections shall have the right to establish and maintain an institution for religion and charitable purposes, manage its own affairs in the matter of the religion, own and acquire movable and the immovable property, administer such property in accordance with the law. The right under Article 26 are also subject to the public order. The right under Article 26 are also subject to the public order. The right, public order, morality and health, but not subject to other restrictions related to the fundamental right. The right under Article 26 are not subject to the public order, morality and health, but the right under Article 26 are not subject to the right under Article 26 are not subject to the rights under Article 26 are also subject to public order, morality and health, but not subject to other restrictions related to the fundamental right. The right under Article 26 are also subject to fundamental order, morality and health, but not subject to other restrictions related to the fundamental right. The restriction in the order in the freedom to manage religious affairs: public order, morality or secularism, morality or health. According to Article 25 of the Constitution, right to freedom of religion is not subjected to humanism. The word Hindu in Article 25 of the Constitution does not indicate that is Parsis. Article 25 of the Indian Constitution refers to the right to religion, under which article of the Indian Constitution wearing of kirpan and by the Sikhs is deemed to have a right to freedom of religion, article 25. The provision of the right to freedom of religion includes freedom of propagation of the religion, पहला सही है, right to wear and carry kirtans by the Sikh, ठीक है, and the state right to make laws for the social equality, right, ठीक है. With reference to the India, consider the following statement. When a person makes out a sufficient case, parole cannot be denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of his right. State government have their own prisoner release on parole rules. ठीक है. Parole is the release of the prisoner either temporarily for a special purpose or completely before the expiry of a sentence on the promise of the good behavior, such as the promise is known as the word of honor provided in the parole order. Parole is not recognized as a right in India despite the fact that it has an administrative importance. A prisoner claim to parole is not absolute. A prisoner of authorities have considerable direction in granting parole to that prisoner. However, parole is considered a right for prisoners by number of international accord and organ. Parole is considered a right for prisoners by number of the international accord. Thus, grant of parole is governed by the rules made under the Prisoner Act 1894 and the Prison Act of the 1900. Many state governments have also formulated guidelines to bring out the objectivity and facilitate decision making to determine whether parole needs to be granted in a particular case or not. Such decisions are taken in accordance with the guidelines framed from time to time. The prisons Bombay furlough or the parole rules has been increased in rule making power under the section 1959 clause 5 of the Provision Act 1984. This is the following statement. According to the Constitution of India, the central government has a duty to protect state from the internal disturbances. The Constitution of India exempts the state from providing legal counsel to a person being held for the prevention. According to Prevention of the Terrorism Act 2022, confession of the accused before the police cannot be used as a under the preventive detention, a person can be detained without a trial for 3 months. According to Article 22, Clause 4 of the Indian Constitution, a person can be detained without trial for a maximum period of 3 months under the preventive detention. Under the Preventive Detention Act, a person can be arrested without trial for 3 months. Which of the following not correctly matched? Article 22, Clause 1. Right to be defended by legal practitioner of her or in choice 22/4. No law providing for preventive detention shall authorize the detention for a period longer than 3 months. Parliament may by law describe the circumstances in which a person may be detained for a longer period of time than the 3 months. Article 22 Clause 2. Parliament may by law prescribe the circumstances under which a person may be detained for a period longer than 3 months. Or 22 Clause 1. No person who is arrested shall be in custody without being informed as soon as may be of the ground for the such arrest. As per the Article 22 Clause 2, every person who is arrested and detained in custody shall be produced before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours of such arrest, excluding the time necessary for the journey from the place of arrest to the court of the magistrate. Before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours of such arrest, excluding the time necessary for arrest. Which article under the which article in the fundamental right is directly related to the exploitation of the children? Article 24. Which of the following article of the Indian Constitution deal with the fundamental right related to the exploitation? Article 24. Child rights are protected under the Article 24 of the ICCPR. ICCPR क्या होता है? That is the Article 24 of the ICCPR. That is the International Convention of the Children and the Political Right. ICCPR क्या होता है? What is ICCPR? That is International Convention on Civil and Political Right. International Convention on Civil and the Political Right. Article 24 of the ICCPR, International Convention on Civil and the Political Right, protects child rights. It is worth a mention that Article 24 of the Convention also protects child rights. Child rights protected. Which article of the Constitution provides protection to the accused regarding conviction from double bar and self-incrimination? Which article of the Constitution provides protection to the accused regarding conviction? Which article of the Constitution provides protection to the accused regarding conviction from double bar and self-incrimination? That is Article 20. An accused of any offence cannot be compelled to give evidence against himself. Which article of the Indian Constitution provides for this? Article 20, Clause 3. No person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offence more than one. Article 20. Which article gives safeguard to the fundamental right of the arrested person? That is Article 22. The state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age group of the 6 to 14 years. In a democratic society, right to education is indispensable to the interpretation of the right to development as a child. In a democratic society, right to education is indispensable. In the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age group of 6 to 14 years. In a democratic society, right to education is indispensable in the interpretation of the right to development as a human right. According to article, which of the following are envisaged by the right against exploitation in the Constitution of India? Abolition of the untouchability, prohibition of the human trafficking, and forced provision to employment. 2 and 3. Which provision of the fundamental right are directly related to the exploitation of the children? Article 24 or Article 24, that is the provide the employment of children parties related to hazardous work. Such provision is absolute provision. As per the Article 24, no child below the age of the 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engage in any of the works in any of the other hazardous employment. Such a provision is an absolute provision. Which of the following क्या ढूंढ रही हो? Which of the following is not a part of the Article 20 of the Constitution of India? Jeopardy expected provision against torture, provision against self-incrimination. Provision against self-incrimination. Which one of the following does not fall within the purview of the Article 20 or 21 of the Constitution? Medical aid to injure by a doctor, sexual harassment of the woman at the workplace, and the pollution of the quality of the water. Which of the following does not? मिला हमको लगता है इसी समय किसी में रखा गया कोई सब डब्बा से समझिए, क्योंकि हम देखे ही नहीं हैं, देखते तो हम समेटे भी नहीं हो, तो क्या हो गया? Which of the following does not fall within the purview of the Article 21 of the Constitution? That is capital punishment नहीं हो. क्या क्या होगा? Medical aid to injured by a doctor, sexual harassment of the woman at the workplace, pollution of the quality of the water. Article 21 of the Constitution provide no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by the Honorable Supreme Court of India have widened the scope and the orbit of the right to life and personal liberty on various questions according to the question given here. Option D is correct as from the decision of the Bachchan Singh versus State of Punjab case. It is now clear that the provision of the capital punishment as given in section 302 of IPC it is now clear that the provision of the capital punishment as given in section 302 of IPC is not violative of the Article 21 of the Constitution because it is given only for serious crimes. According to the question given here, option D is correct as from the decision of the Bachchan Singh versus State. The provision as given in the section 302 of the IPC is not violative of the Article 21 because it is given only for serious crimes. So capital punishment does not comes under the provision of all that are given in the medical aid to the injured by the doctor in the Paramananda Katara versus Union of India. Presentation at the woman at the workplace in Visakha versus State of Rajasthan 1997 SC. Pollution of the quality of air in Subhas Kumar versus State of Bihar 1991 SC. Which one of the following right cannot be suspended or restricted even during the national emergency? Right to life and the personal liberty. Within the following right cannot be suspended or restricted even during the national emergency. Within the following right cannot be suspended or restricted. Which of the following right cannot be suspended or restricted even during the national emergency? Right to life and personal liberty. Right to life and personal liberty. Which one of the following right cannot be suspended or restricted? The scope of the Article 21 of the Constitution was expanded to include right to education because of the decision of the Supreme Court in the case of the Union Krishna versus the Andhra Pradesh. 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 Right to education to all children between the age group of 6 to 14 is a fundamental right.
Hello. हाँ. हाँ.
The right to education to all children between the age group of 16 is a fundamental right.
अच्छा और हम दोनों चले जाते आगे आते हैं.
Right to education to all children between the age group of 16 to 14 here is a fundamental right. When was the right to education added to?
हम आते हैं आ जाते हैं. दोनों चले गए.
Right to education to all children between the age group of 16 to 14 is a fundamental right. The Constitution 86th Amendment Act 2002 inserted Article 21A in the Constitution of India to provide hello